Hello, and this is Spooky Chris Ringler of the Spooky Chris podcast, and hopefully you found this via my little website, spookychris.com, where all my stories and blogs and past podcasts are. But if you found this some other way, then thank you and welcome. I am an author, two-time filmmaker, occasional artist-ish kind of person, and oddball in general. And this is my little short-form podcast. So, my last podcast, I talked about, so if you really had this kind of drive to write. And I've talked about that before on my blog, and I've talked about this next topic before on my blog as well, but I figured it'd be good just to talk about it, again, so you can kind of hear my thought process. So, you want to be a filmmaker. Now, making movies and shooting things and everything is the same as writing. You can be a writer without being a famous writer. You can be a filmmaker without being a famous filmmaker. You can be successful or terrible at both. The point is to have fun. The point is to use that form and that medium to say something. For me, stories allow me to say something that I'm not able to say visually or in some kind of a way. And in the same way, a visual medium allows me to say something that I couldn't put in words as effectively. Could you do either or? Could you swap either one? Absolutely. If you know what you're trying to say, you could say anything anyway, and it can be beautiful or horrible or whatever you want, any way you want to say it. It's a matter of what you're trying to say and what you believe is the best way for it to be said. That's where it comes down to. The technology exists. Everything exists, and that's the great thing for you to do it your way right now. Let me backtrack. So I got started making movies when I was a kid. I was 18. Well, gosh, I was younger than 18. I had a friend at the time who had something called a PXL 2000, and a PXL 2000 was this neat little device, I believe it was Fisher-Price had put out, and it was a video camera that shot on cassette tapes. So music used to come on cassette tapes back in the day, and blank tapes and stuff. That's what you'd use to record music and stuff. This would record on tapes, and I believe they were specialized tapes, but you could record 5 minutes silently. And it was silent. Our movies were always silent, but you could stop and start and shoot, and we had lots of stuff involved. And then my friend would pair music with it, so there must have been a jack to connect for music. But we did silent movies, and he was smart enough to kind of already know how to do some special effects with, they say filament wire, but we use fishing line to make something hover. The first thing we did was I'd stayed over the night, and we shot during the night when we were teenagers, and we shot a movie called Sam Hain, and now I realize it's pronounced Samhain, but we called it Sam Hain, and it was a silly little movie about a ghost. Black and white, just me, and some floating stuff that happened, and it was great because the PXL added so much atmosphere to what we wanted to do. We made scary movies with it. We made a bunch of them. We made a bunch, and he made some with his other friends, and it was great because we accepted the limitations, and we found ways to make them work in our favor. And that's the thing. That's the thing with any art, is that you have to find the limitations of it and then make it work for how you need it to work. That's where really you create amazing stuff, is not because you're complaining and kicking your feet and moaning and groaning because you can't do what you want to do because you don't have this, the greatest camera and the greatest special effects and the greatest sound. No, you find a way to tell the story within the confines that you have. And that makes you become a little more creative, a little more risk-taking. It makes you focus. So instead of, like, oh yeah, so and the spaceship shows up and it blows up 4 planets with 1 million people and blah blah blah, and there's going to be these big explosions. No, instead you show people, their faces, screaming, have a flash, and then you can do all the rest with sound or however you want, because you don't have that money. That's where writing, I can write a scene like, 4 planets blew up and blah 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 blah, and it's so terrible and blah, and you visualize it. In filming it, you need to kind of have a way to convey that. You can do it by spending all the money and doing all the stuff, or having the wherewithal and the know-how how to show all of that, or you can work around it. But that's what PXL allowed us to do. And it was fantastic. I loved that. As a creative tool for kids, it was amazing. From there, my folks had gotten a video camera. And it was for the family, but it was essentially for me. And so we started shooting on film. And once we started shooting on film, you can just waste film. Even now, more so, since it's all on hard drives and stuff, you can just shoot forever. So you have to be a good editor, but we'll get to that. But no, so we can, we're shooting on film, so we could, the training wheels are kind of off, but we, instead of writing scripts and everything, we just improvised, and instead of making horror movies, we were making these. We at the time, my friend and I, were heavily into Martin Scorsese and his crime movies of the era. Goodfellas, and then we loved Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, and so the early stuff. And so we did our riffs on those, and they were obnoxious and meandering and offensive and regrettable and amazing. And we had a blast, and it was amazing, like I say. And then once that, we shot one regular movie for a class I was taking, and my friend wrote the script and he directed it. I quote unquote directed sometimes. It was basically me just taking the camera, and I was a very good camera person, but I let my friend take the lead on all this stuff, and I just kind of was the actor. So we did our one little movie for my class, and then that was the last movie I made for a long time, and the movie was really fun. I had a script which wasn't great for me because I have a terrible memory. But we had a great time. It was and it still is a great concept, and there's a really good movie in there, but it would need to be edited down. And it's funny, I have all the raw footage. I've had it for 30 years almost. It's just I don't have the interest necessarily, because it's not my movie. Like it's somebody else's movie, and it's so far in the past. I don't know that it matters. But it was, there was something good there. Like, the writing was really good. I was terrible, but the writing was good. So I didn't get really involved in movies again until, I had a friend who, her friends made movies, and I was in one of theirs. It's like a dead guy, and I've known filmmakers for all these years. I had, a guy I know adapted a couple stories of mine, and I knew some other people in the past that were like, we want to adapt this, and blah, blah, blah. And I never made stuff. It wasn't until some friends of mine decided they wanted to, we should make a movie together. And that's when I shot my first movie. And that was, shooting it totally, that was mine. That was me shooting a movie for the first time. And I learned Oceans. So I wrote it. I had this idea, this plan. I wrote a treatment, and then I kind of created a script. We actually, got people together. We casted it with friends of, family of a friend and some friends of friends, and we got everybody together for a reading. And I bought a set, a package on Amazon. That was a video camera and memory cards and batteries and all these lights and this and that. I got something called a pistol grip, which I love, which you can screw into the bottom, because I'm more of personally, my style is more of a roving camera. Like, I do stills and stuff, but I don't want to use a tripod, since that's just not my thing. So I use the pistol grip kind of thing, and you screw it in the bottom, like I say, and it looks kind of like a pistol thing. and you can hold it like that, like an old Super 8. But what I do is I put my hand to the strap, put the butt of my palm against the pistol grip, and that stabilizes me. And I think it's a great way, for me, it's a great way to shoot. It really kind of stabilizes the shot, and it makes me feel good. I missed the old school camera for a long time, that weight and feeling like I'm really shooting something. I've gotten used to this camera now, so I feel a little better with it. And mine's a Canon. It's it wasn't cheap, in either in price or in build, but it's not a high-end camera. It's just a good mid-range, does what I need it to do camera. There's a little filter on it I use all the time that kind of gives it a film look, because I just don't want to go through a bunch of processes on programs and stuff. I don't want to look clean, but I'm not trying to make it look like it was freaking made in the 70s necessarily. I want to look like a movie. That's my thing. So when I shot my movie, the shooting is, truly, the gear is the easiest part. You can shoot with your telephone. You can shoot with a dirt cheap camera. You can shoot with a GoPro. You can shoot with a Red, so like a high-end, expensive camera. The thing is, the gear, I would say, get something affordable, and then grow into it, and then outgrow it, and then move from there. Don't go and blow a ton of money on a camera if you're not shooting yet. Just because you don't know, this may be a passing fad, and you don't want to drop a ton of money on something that you're going to do, maybe finish one project and then lose interest, or not finish any project and then you have this expensive camera that you just never used. To me, all of this is my experience and my 2 cents. Coming from a guy who's made a couple short films and a few things, just randomly shot some stuff like commercials for my books and weird stuff. But I have no fame, no glory, I am not. On one hand, I am not the guy to listen to, but on the other, I am the guy to listen to because I am in the trenches with you. I am right there. I've been watching movies since I was a kid. I know tons of filmmakers. I know how it's done. It's just a matter of how you want to do it. So my advice is, if you're going to do this, start with your phone or start something simple and just start learning how to tell your story. Because that's what this is. Even if it's just like, it's a guy breaking into a bank. That's still a story. And how you convey it via the visual image, the oral picture you draw, like all of that plays into how this is put together. From there, there's free programs. Audacity is an amazing program. I use it for our podcasting and sound and stuff, for audio stuff. So that is amazing. There are free programs. There's free Creative Commons music out there where you just have to kind of say, so Joe Smith wrote this song, and then you use the song, or free sound effects. I initially had started using I forget the name of it, but like the movies program, whatever, through Microsoft. That was on my old Microsoft computers to edit, and it's a WYSIWYG editor. It's very simple, very very cut and dry. But the depth comes in knowing how to use it, and I loved it. And I was heartbroken that it wasn't in the new program, in Windows 10. But what I found is they have a program called Photos, and in Photos there is a video editor. And the more I work with it, the better I like it. It's not quite the same as the movie program, but I still like it. Again, it's very simple. And if you are just getting going, it's perfect. You can add music, you can add sound, you can have the audio for your video dropped or raised. You can add title cards. It's great. It is simple though, very simple. But there are free programs online as well for editing. So you can get those programs free or cheap as free. And as you grow into your skills and your interests, and you're getting more and more into it, you can buy something more heavy duty that gets into the nooks and crannies and does more, fooling with the color and special effects and bigger, nitty gritty stuff that you're going to start wanting to fool with. But I mean, editing is truly knowing what your story is, having the footage to put together, but just knowing what the story is. Because what I found is you can take pieces of scenes and pieces of scenes and rework them. So when I made my first movie, so we shot it, like we shot most of it at this spot, and just the sound, it was working out, but where we were shooting, because it was just what was available, it was too close to a highway, so there's like all of that ambient noise. So we went to a new location and reshot, and I rewrote, and cast members came and cast members left, and that was, I mean, shucks, this was a many-month, almost year-long journey where I kept, going, I'm done, I'm going to quit, I can't do this, like, this isn't working out. But what kept me doing it is the folks that were there and that had put in the work, they deserved to have their work seen. So I kept shooting, and we had changed location again and change actors, and it's its own tale. But in the end, by the end, we had a film, at least footage. And I had a friend that is a musician, and he came over with a bunch of his musical instruments, and he and I made music, and I still have all the stuff. And I parsed that out in bits and pieces and created my own score for it. Just this weird little thing. And I tweaked it and I chopped it, and it was funny. It started at like 25 minutes, and I chopped it and chopped it. It's about 21 minutes now. And you hate to lose all that. That's what the fun of extra footage and stuff is. But I wanted it to tell the story I needed it to tell, and to do that, I needed it to flow in a certain way. I went out and shot B-roll, and B-roll footage is that footage that is kind of like, it's not the main. So it's now stars. It's not the main director necessarily. It's pickup stuff that you're getting, so you can kind of flesh things out. And that's what I did. Is I shot a bunch of pickup stuff to add to the ending. And when I was done, like I love that thing. It's rough. There's issues. There's some sound issues. There's a lot of issues. But I love it. And when I made my second one, I had learned, and I knew how, what to do. I shot in places that I could control. Like I didn't have to have big special effects or this or that. I wrote stories that didn't need big special effects. When we first were going to shoot this movie, my friends, we were going to shoot an anthology, and we were going to have. We know a guy that is worked in Hollywood movies, worked in movies and did special effects, and we were going to see if we could put the money we had for this movie towards him doing a special effect. And as we were shooting, it just became like, but we don't need it. Like I don't want to go through the process of having him say no, but I also was like, we don't need it. We can do things our way and see what we get. And I love that. And when I did the second one, I did the same kind of thing. Like I created my own special effects. I needed a friend to kind of shoot it, and I executed them. I used prop stuff that I had at my house. It's kind of just, that's what you do, is you adapt. And I love that movie too. I found people who want to act, who I'm not getting rich off of this. They're cool. Just they were gracious enough to lend me their time to be in this movie, and it was great. We had a blast, and that's the thing is if you make this, if you have fun, if you're in it to have fun and make it fun, people will want to work with you. You just can't go in to try to be a tyrant. Don't act like you're trying to make a Hollywood film when you're just trying to make a movie right now. It's going to be as good as the work you put into it and the others put into it, but they're going to take their cue from you. Like, you have to do the editing and the scoring and the writing and all of that stuff, and it's all a lot. You can write with someone. You can have someone co-direct. You can have somebody shoot it for you. You can have someone edit it for you, whatever. You can hand things off, but you have to have the vision. And that's what kind of comes down to is you can have all the tools in the world. You can have all the programs. It's just a matter of putting the time in. And I mean, YouTube is full of videos on how to do all of this. Watch some movies, and there's commentaries from filmmakers that will tell you kind of how they did it. There's behind the scenes things that tells you how movies are made, but how your movie or your video is made is up to you. And again, maybe you need a storyboard. I never did, But that's just, I kind of made it up as I went along. That doesn't mean it was right or wrong. That just means how I did it. I mean, so if you want to get started, just grab your camera phone, put it on video, and just shoot some stuff. And throw it in an editing program and just see what you can do. Like, just get to know the gear, get to know the programs, and start figuring out what kind of stories you want to tell. That's what this is all about. And once all of this kind of comes together, everything becomes a lot easier. Because there's people that want to act. There's people that want to do music. There's people that want to work on movies. And if you're not a jerk, they'll want to work with you. Because it's fun, and it can be fun. But if you make this a job and you're not paying them, then you're gonna not have people wanting to work with you, and you're gonna have people super angry at you. And that's the thing too, is if the more serious you get about this, and the more you're focusing on this, and if you're trying to make money, you've got to treat these people like professionals, and you've got to pay them, and you have to be fair, and you've got to be fair up front. I hadn't paid anyone because I was just doing this for fun. And my intention was, I wasn't going in this as a filmmaker and trying to, hi-hat anybody and make money off of their hard work. I was just trying to make some art, and they were into it. So there's a point where when you start doing this enough, you're going to have to start, and again, you're going to want your friend that is in the movie isn't very good. Well, if you want someone who's really good, you might have to pay them. That's the thing. You pay for someone's expertise. You pay for their time. And you can't always just pay them in food. Sometimes you got to pay them in money. It's how it works. But I have to say, movies drive me crazy, but I love making them. I have fun with it. It's a new thing to do. It's a new way to tell a story, and I love it. And I love that I am at an age where I can, just don't care, and I'm doing this, and I have the ability to get the tools I need to make the kind of movies I want to make. But there's so much you can do with so little, and there's so many apps and programs. I mean, truly, if you can dream it, you can do it, and that's the coolest thing. And that's cool, like with writing and everything else. That's the coolest thing about all of this, is that if you can dream it, you can for sure do it. And my friend, I hope you can set those dreams into the world, because I think. I'm going to bet you have something to say, and I would be real excited to see what it is. Stay safe. Take care. This is Spooky Chris signing off. You can check all my stuff at spookychris.com. Take care. Bye.